Auburn wide receiver commit Daenerys Gray is so good, but they've got to hold off some other schools.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. It's Recruiting Thursday, so we're joined by Locked On recruiting expert Brian Smith. He hosts the portal. Be sure to check out the portal. The same way you're consuming Locked On Auburn, check out the portal. We'll talk about 5 guys today. One is committed to Auburn. The other 4, Auburn needs to be sure to make a priority, and I think they are for most of these guys moving forward. So, Brian, you saw Daenerys Gray, the first member of this 2026 class. Seems like it's been forever ago since he committed, and he has shot up rankings since then and has picked up a bunch of offers. But you saw him this past weekend, and surprising to no one, he looked good.
Yeah, Under Armour Miami is the elite of the elite with the wide receiver DB battles.
Okay,
there'll be 10+ DBs that are 3-4 star that end up in the NFL. I mean, it's just every year. It's insane.
Yeah.
So he went up against guys that are going to wherever they want, and he still won battles over and over again. And it's based on his length and his athleticism, sure, but his technique keeps getting better. A lot of kids, they get the commitment, whatever school they're going to, and then they kind of coast. Gray has been just the opposite. And to that, he's more mature than most kids his age. And secondarily, he plays at Chaminade Madonna, which, for those who don't know, Jeremiah Smith played there. Yeah, it's right. They've won like 9 titles in 10 years. It's insane. Mm-hmm. So they've got great coaching, and he just keeps taking challenges. Like a lot of kids like him, they don't do the one-on-one reps because they don't want to get YouTubed by somebody. You're not going to win every rep at Under Armour Miami. I don't care who you are.
Sure.
He didn't care. He went out and did everything and didn't worry about it. And he won several contested catches, and he just looked good, like a polished kid that's in his second or third year of college.
Yeah.
It's funny because most people don't really talk about him. I was talking to John Garcia from Rivals about it. He's a top 100 kid for Rivals, and nobody talks about Gray because he committed so long ago. Mm-hmm. A lot of that's predicated on, are you still on the board? But this is an elite player.
Yeah, and we've had conversations about Gray over the last few months about, other folks coming after him. Ohio State, he tweeted out when he got an Ohio State offer. I mean, as you should, national champs, that's a big deal. But when you look at Gray and his style of play, I mean, is he a pure outside guy at the next level? He seems like a long type receiver. I mean, from a trait standpoint, where is he? What does he project to?
I think he can play the same spot that Cam is playing right now for the Tigers, the boundary spot, because he's so long. He's a strong kid. He'll weigh just over 200 pounds when he starts to fill out. He's over 180 now, but by the time he enrolls, he'll be over 190 pounds. Cam was like 198 when he got to Auburn.
Okay. So
not a lot different. He's slightly shorter than Cam. He's about 6'4". This kid's 6'2.5", 6'3". But he's also, again, he played at Chaminade, and he's got another year left. He could play slot if you needed him to, or play outside of like the traditional flanker spot. He's just well-versed. So that also helps you. When you can move guys around, especially for, goal line circumstances or anything else, it helps you. So I would start him at boundary, but don't be surprised if for the Tigers he moves around as he corners the offense. He's certainly capable.
And some of that has to matter by like who else is on the roster with you. I mean, right now, currently Devin Carter is a part of this class, and they seem different in stature for sure. So their roles are probably going to be different. But a guy we're going to talk about more in depth in a second, but like C.D. Morgan, I mean, he projects to be that similar role, right?
So
what a great problem to have if you're Auburn, if you end up with these guys.
Well, if you do it that way, you could put Carter in the slot and put Gray as your outside to the field player. And CD is 100% a boundary guy.
Right.
And he is 205 to 210 pounds, depending on what day of the week you talk to him. And he's been a grown man since he was a sophomore in high school.
Sure.
So, yeah, he could play outside too, but God didn't create too many players like Morgan. He's as close to a guarantee to play boundary as it pretty much gets. So if they do get him, then you have all kinds of fun with the other guys because Gray could play any of them, really, because he's so advanced.
Yeah.
But then you start having fun with, okay, you know who's coming out on the field, but where are they going to line up?
Right.
Because Morgan can play whatever, too, just athletically. So Auburn hasn't been in this position since I followed Auburn in my lifetime. Like, this is.
It's great. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. The stacking classes is definitely, you're starting to see what this coaching staff's trying to do. They need to win this fall in order to, I think, to really solidify a lot of this, which we've talked about before. Going back to Daenerys Gray, 3-star still in several places. And like when you look at the tape and you look at the offers and you just, eye test, like it just doesn't match. But you made something interesting there. I mean, he's not discussed. He's not talked about because he committed so early.
Correct.
Is there a chance that hurts him as far as like being a consensus 4-star down the road?
1,000,000%.
That's so crappy. That is so crappy that he's going to get punished for being loyal to somebody.
Look, this industry is about big words, decommitment, flip,
right,
change. Anything that it changes with the roster draws eyeballs. Well, he's boring because he's loyal. This is something I talk about with some of the guys in the recruiting that are part of the rankings. Like, this isn't just my conjecture. People click on change, and he is the definition of non-change.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to talk to him at all this week? I mean, he seems pretty solid to Auburn. It's like anytime there's any sort of panic, it's like, oh my goodness, he's tweeting out all these offers. Then he'll say something publicly. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Or he'll do an interview with somebody. It's like, okay, great, sweet. Seems like Auburn is still clearly, where he's intending to play college football.
I didn't speak to him, but nobody said anything to me about it. And that's why I didn't. There were a gazillion kids to interview.
Sure.
And I've been around Daenerys a million times, but
there's
no discussion in South Florida about it. And I know the right people down there for that if he does, it would be news to everybody. So right now, Auburn seems to be in the catbird seat.
Is that just who Gray is, you think? Is it how Auburn's recruiting? I mean, they've done a good job of holding on to the kids they want to hold on to, like remarkably well, despite, despite how I'm trying to think. There was one guy who left last class, Nate Marshall. Like I was bummed that, Auburn lost him after flipping him. I think he's great. I think he's really, really good future NFL player. But there's not many guys, despite Auburn's last 2 seasons being extremely underwhelming. Like they've done an incredible job of holding on to it. Is that the relationships and the way Hugh Freeze's staff is recruiting? Is it the type of kid they're going after? Or are we just thinking like too complex with this and it really just comes down to like NIL money? Like what do you think it is?
I think it's mostly how they're recruiting him. There's connections on the Auburn staff to him from South Florida, and he just likes the staff. Just from talking to him prior. Again, I didn't talk to him this past weekend, but that's always been the case.
Right.
He's very comfortable there. So he was at the recruiting weekend a few weeks back. I saw him there. He brought Derek Cooper with him. I mean, there were all kinds of talented players there. He didn't need to come, but he did because he'd been committed over a year at that point.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, this kind of solidifies. I didn't even talk to him when he was at Auburn because I knew there wasn't really any need. So, but he's a great kid, and I think his low-key personality also fits Auburn. That's the extra bonus. He's a pretty chill guy. I think he'll fit in well on the Plains.
I love that. So Daenerys Gray continues to impress. Don't worry about the rankings. Watch this guy. I promise he's good. And you put up some clips of him as well. Be sure to follow LO_the portal on socials. Brian does a great job of putting out clips and stuff. And I retweeted one of Daenerys Gray. So be sure to check that out. All right. There are other guys that currently aren't committed to Auburn that Auburn needs to make a priority. Brian shares his insight on those next, right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Nissan. The Armada Team of the Week is brought to you by our friends at Nissan and the all-new 2025 Nissan Armada. Each week, our Locked On college basketball experts are picking one team that stands apart. From the top-seeded stars to the unexpected upsets, these guys showcase the strength and sheer power needed to push their team forward. This would have happened last week. We would have said the SEC champ Auburn Tigers, but that's okay. This week's Armada clear-cut team of the week is the Houston Cougars. Since joining the Big 12 last season, the Cougars have gone on a combined 33-4 in conference games, winning the regular season by multiple games in both years. Congrats to the Houston Cougars. It's clear that our team of the week is out here ready to conquer the road ahead with confidence, just like you can in the all-new Nissan Armada or any of our Nissan's outstanding vehicles. Take the Nissan Armada, Rogue, or Pathfinder and go find your next big adventure at shopnissanusa.com. It's a Cruton Thursday. We're joined by the Brian Smith, host of The Portal. Be sure to go check out his show. However you're consuming Locked on Auburn, make The Portal your second listen of the day. Let's start in-state. Let's start with Anthony Jones, Tank Jones, the number one player in the state in most places. Some places have CD. We'll talk about him next. But Anthony Jones, to me, like, this is what it seems like to me, Brian. And you tell me if you think I'm wrong or I'm crazy. But it really seemed like this staff went all in on Zion Ely, the 5-star from Maryland, who's committed to Maryland. He recently shut down his commitment. But it really seemed like they were prioritizing him because he seems like a guy who was ready to shut down his recruitment, hence like he did 2 weeks ago or however long ago that was. I don't think Anthony Jones is like that. I think Tank is going to go till signing day. Wherever he commits, I don't feel like it's going to be over when he commits to them, whether it's to Auburn, whether it's to Alabama, other places are recruiting him. It certainly seems like it's Auburn or Alabama to me, maybe Oregon. But I think they wanted a guy like Zion Ely so they could say, hey, okay, cool, we've got our edge guys, him and Hezekiah. But I don't think that's an option anymore. So now it's, all right, let's get Tank Jones in this class and hope you can hold on to him. Am I reading too much into this?
I don't think so.
Okay.
You always need edge rushers, and you would like to have less drama. I remember, I think it was last year, getting ready for fall camp or spring ball. I forget which one. You said something to the effect of like how I spend my day. The last thing he mentioned was putting out fires and dealing with stuff. And I know he's talking about the third uncle walking into the office wanting more money for players. I know that's what he's talking about. That's why we have general managers in college football now. So coaches don't have to deal with that garbage as much. But
they're still having to deal with it, though. Like, maybe just less, right?
Correct. There is no quote unquote 100% avoidance. That does not exist.
Right.
So I've met Tank and like that when he was a sophomore, I'd have taken him.
Sure.
And he's one of those guys. So, and he's an in-state kid. And on top of it, right now, I think you're right. If he doesn't go to Auburn, he goes to that other school you guys don't typically like very much in the state of Alabama. So you'd also have to play against him. The only thing is,
sure, great point.
Yeah, nobody likes that, but it's true. So LSU, Georgia, Bama are probably the three others, along with Oregon. It's pretty typical list for a kid from Alabama now. You need to dominate the state. This is a kid they've had on campus multiple times. We'll see what happens, but you're going to have to play the game with this one.
Yeah. And this staff has shown that they can do that, but I mean, maybe this is recency bias, but it does seem like with the kids that go up to signing day, we didn't really nail last year, or I'm really trying to think the year prior to that too. The guys that went to signing day when Freeze first got here, where it was like he'd been here like a month and a half and he flipped Keldrick and Connor Liu and Kay and Lee. Like, that was an incredible day. But since then, when he's had plenty of time, like, it's usually locked up by that point. So I don't know. I've got a weird feeling about this recruitment, and I don't like it.
Well, the only other thing I can say is there's obviously a long way to go.
Sure, 100%.
The OBs aren't set, et cetera, with him. And the extra bonus is here recently, I haven't got it from him directly. You and I haven't really talked about him much. Auburn has a pretty good shot at Trenton Henderson, the kid out of Pensacola Catholic, who might be the top player in the state of Florida. He's pretty much the identical thing to Tank, maybe 5-10 pounds lighter. But you need to get one of these kids every year if you're going to beat Bama, if you're going to beat Georgia, LSU, because if you don't get them, they are. So Tank Jones is the in-state kid. I'm sure they would prefer that 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
But it looks like this might be the kid we talk about the most between now and National Signing Days. Tank.
Yeah, that's probably true. Because even if he commits to Bama, I don't think it's over. And if he commits to Auburn, I don't think it's over. I think having Hezekiah Harris in the class makes edge. I got to be very careful with how I say this. Slightly less important. Getting a second one, it's still crucial. You need as many pass rushers as you possibly can. but I do think it gives you some flexibility just because they really nailed that position last year too. But I mean, I want 2 or 3 elite edge rushers in every class just because the nature of the portal and figuring out how to, maybe want some of these guys bulk up and they play strong side end and pass rushing situations, whatever that may be. But I do think having a guy like Hezekiah Harris already in the boat does make the situation a little bit better.
Yeah, I would agree. For those who don't know, that's another kid that's 6'5", 235 pounds.
Right.
Looks like a basketball player, and he's awfully twitchy. So getting him in the boat early, hats off to the Auburn staff. They did a good job. And again, it's kind of like with Daenerys Gray. Nobody talks about him because he's committed.
Right.
It's boring. There's no news there. Well, that doesn't mean he's not really good. So
that's right. That's right. And even before he was committed to Auburn, he was like tweeting about Auburn all the time. So it's like, yeah. Okay. And then the other in-state stud, Cedarian Morgan, who is, if Tank isn't ranked as the number 1 player in the state by your rankings, the other one is CD. And it seems like he's been an Auburn lean for a good bit. Alabama certainly likes their chances as well. So, I mean, this is a traditional Iron Bowl battle here, but man, CD Morgan, whoever gets him from Benjamin Russell, 6'4", 200 plus pounds, carries the weight extremely well, moves extremely well. I mean, as close of a can't miss wide receiver target as you can find.
Yeah, and he's a great kid. I think he will fit in no matter where he goes to school.
Sure.
Morgan is the guy that, again, as we spoke about earlier with Gray, probably going to play boundary, but he could play to the field too. It's not often you find guys over 200 pounds out of high school that can do that. But Florida, Ohio State, Georgia, everybody in the world is going to try to get him to take visits and see how it goes. But barring something unforeseen, I still think, like you do, that it'll be an Iron Bowl deal. I've spoken to him numerous times. I don't think he knows where he's going yet. This will play out. He's not going to just commit just to do it. But I do believe he'll try to get it done before his senior year. He's not a kid that wants to be in the spotlight.
Yeah, he's got it. He's got an announcement set, according to 247, for July 2nd.
That's right on par with how I would see his personality. That's good.
Yeah, so his officials in May, he's going to Georgia, Clemson, and then so in May it's Georgia and Clemson, and then on June 6th, OV to Florida, June 13th, OV to Auburn, June 19th, OV to Alabama. So some people buy into the last visit is best, which I tend to agree in this situation. But there's still like 3 weeks in between that and the decision. So does that matter? I don't know, but take that for what it's worth. So July 2nd, according to 247 here for CD Morgan. Who are other guys that Brian thinks Auburn should make a priority moving forward for the 2026 class? That's next right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Alumni Hall. I can't imagine buying Auburn swag anywhere other than with our friends at Alumni Hall. They've got 3 great physical locations in Auburn, Opelika, and Huntsville, as well as online at alumnihall.com. Make sure you're ready for March with all of the Auburn swag, Auburn basketball swag. They've got the shirtsies, which are like the shirt jerseys with player names and all that on them, as well as SEC championship gear, all of that stuff over at Alumni Hall. So be sure to give them some love. Let them know that we sent you, alumnihall.com, and there are 3 great physical locations in Auburn, Opelika, and Huntsville. Final few minutes here on this Cruton Thursday edition of Locked On Auburn. Brian Smith, our guest, host of The Portal. Let's go out of state now and talk about Jireh Edwards, St. Francis Academy stud. We've talked about him several times, but could be seen as one of the better defensive backs in the entire country. I think Auburn's had a good job with him so far. The issue is so is Oregon, so is Texas A&M, so is Georgia, and so is Maryland.
Yeah, this is just one of those recruitments you got to let it play out. I don't know what his timeline is because I don't know him personally. I've been around him, but I don't know his personality that well. That list is wild because he's a shocker. He's a St. Francis kid being recruited by Auburn, but all across the country. He's got 3 SEC schools, but he's got local Maryland, which has got a lot of NIL.
Right.
And Oregon's, they got the ultimate booster of all time in Phil Knight. So
sure. Right.
Those things make it really hard to project.
Yeah.
But he was on campus in January. and he's got a connection to Auburn because so many kids from that area now are going to Auburn. I wouldn't be shocked if this was the kid that Auburn kind of pulls the upset for, because I'm sure most people say, I'll go to Oregon or Georgia. It's like the easy thing to say.
Yeah.
But I know he likes Auburn quite a bit from the feedback I've gotten. And again, there's connection because Auburn recruits St. Francis very, very well. So
yeah, May 16th. May 16th is his official visit to Auburn. A few weeks later, his official to Maryland. June 6th, official to Georgia. June 13th, official to A&M. And the following week, an official to Oregon. So that May 16th weekend, it seems like Auburn has just a ton of guys in town, which I'm sure is on purpose. I'm sure is by design, get all those guys around each other, but worth following. Jireh Edwards, St. Francis Academy up in Baltimore, outstanding defensive back. Okay, let's pivot to the last guy that we'll talk about today. And this is a guy that I know the least about of the list that you sent me. Jaelen Waters, the corner from Seffner, Florida. Where in Florida is that, Brian?
That's a suburb of Tampa.
Tampa. Okay, got it. So Tampa kid. A lot of people kind of predicting Miami, but it seems like Auburn's not backing off for Jaelen Waters. What do we know about him?
Number one, he's just really freaking good.
Okay,
this is 6'1" plus corner. He is a kid that has NFL potential. He plays with one of the best programs in the country in 7-on-7, and he's just been a kid that's offered by everybody. This is a guy that's going to play early, wherever he goes. I'd heard Miami, but then the commitment got pushed back, etc., and he's going to take his visits. As soon as I heard that, I went to, okay, who's he going to go take an OV to? Miami, Florida, and Auburn are the three schools I've heard. There's probably somebody else, but there just aren't many corners with his change of direction skills that have his length and size. And he's playing against Tampa competition, so he's going up against dudes. So his film is legit. His 7-on-7 is legit. This is a national recruit, and it could drag out a long time, but you got to get one of these kind of guys every year. If you're going to be competitive in this SEC, Auburn's no different. I would not be surprised.
So he was committed to Florida, and then he went to Miami's junior day, right? And then decommits from Florida like a week or so later.
Right.
And he's got those three officials to Florida, where he used to be committed, Miami, where he visited right before he decommitted, and then it's like Auburn's also in this. So kind of interesting recruitment here. But his official to Auburn is June 16th. So take that for what it's worth. Look, I love corners. I love talking corners. And so if this guy can ball, I watched a little bit of his stuff after you sent me the list. Looks great to me. So we'll see exactly what that looks like. But Auburn's 2026 class, like, we like how it's coming out. But right now at DB, you've got Wayne Henry, which is a great starting point. Extremely underrated player, in my opinion. I think you agree, but obviously you need more than that. So he would be an outstanding addition.
100%.
Is he solely outside corner, Brian, when you talk about Jaelen Waters?
You could play him at free safety or nickel or whatever. He's so twitchy. I don't think it matters. It would depend on your scheme to a certain degree, but like, he can play man coverage, and he's a bigger guy. So he's got NFL potential. Yeah. Legit.
Love that. Sold. What else going on at the portal these days, man?
Talking about all the Under Armour camps, and talking about all the big settlement stuff that's coming out of the ACC, because that's going to impact the SEC, the Big Ten. Yeah. That'll be the discussion over the next week, especially because I think that some of these SEC and Big Ten schools are going to want a little more of the pie based on what came out from that. It's going to change recruiting dramatically.
I think so. Auburn fans, be very thankful we were already in the SEC, because we're in a good spot, I think, compared to every other conference. So we'll see what happens.
That's true.
With all that. So however you're consuming Locked On Auburn, you can check out the portal here as well. Please like the video. Please subscribe, and we'll see you next time. This has been Locked On Auburn.